If you are a parent trying to find balance between living your life and also being a parent, then I invite you to listen to this episode and also share this with others, because if you found value in this, others will too. In this episode, I'm also going to bust some myths around parenting, and I'm also going to be sharing some very uncensored stuff about parenting and how I parent. So I know this is of use, this will be of use to you, and I invite you to listen up. Hello, visionaries. Welcome to Create Your Vibrant Life podcast, where you can create the life you desire by tapping into your inner wisdom. I'm your host, Padma Ali. I'm widely known in the field of psychology to create long-lasting transformation. And now I'm here to help you create the life you desire using a combination of neuropsychology and ancient healing practices. This podcast is for you, evolved, overachieving leader who's ready to unlock your highest potential. I'm here to guide you through a process of self-discovery to be the creator of your destiny. And you can do all of that by just taking aligned actions, tapping into the power of your brain, your inner wisdom, and ancient practices. So stay tuned, folks. I am so delighted you are here. Welcome, visionaries, to Create Your Vibrant Life podcast. This is your host, Padma Ali. It's episode 72, Motherhood Uncensored. I was inspired to create this episode after a 10-day hiatus from parenting. I want to say 10 glorious days. My oldest is almost 8, and my youngest is 4. And my children spend 10 days with their aunt, uncle, grandma, and cousins, while my husband and I spend time packing up our home for a cross-country move. You're going to hear all about that in the next episode, so stay tuned for that. But in these 10 days, guys, I barely missed them. And my husband and I, yes, we had tons of things to do, as you can imagine, moving your entire home. I'm like, how did we accumulate so much stuff? It's crazy, but that's for another episode. And we really, really enjoyed reconnecting with each other. I even jokingly said to him the other day, we were driving somewhere and I was like, oh my God, like you are the guy I fell in love with. Like, who are you? I've forgotten what it's like to be married to you or to be in a relationship with you. For some reason or the other, I'm chuckling because we literally had just taken on the parent role and had forgotten what it was like, at least for me, to be a partnership again. Like, it was really interesting to notice that. And I was joking with him saying, hey, I did choose well. Because I saw like these 10 days, I really saw him come alive to the person I had known a long time ago, and I'd forgotten what that was like. My husband, he does not listen to these episodes, by the way, which I give him a lot of hard time about. But in many ways, I'm also glad he doesn't, because then I can speak whatever I want to speak, and he can't be like, he's really the opposite of me, does not have a social media presence, does not like his photos to be taken, does not like anything about him out there. So it's really funny to me that, and he knows I speak about it. None of this is private information or I'm not talking about things that he will absolutely be like, do not talk about this. But where was I going with that? Yeah. So I was saying he is a hilarious person. He's so funny, and he has an amazing sense of humor, very dry sense of humor that very few people probably really get, but he's hilarious. He used to crack me up so much before prior kids, and then that kind of got lost. He became so serious after we had kids, and I'd forgotten what that was like. And these 10 days, he literally came alive, and I was like, who are you? I was like, this is the person, you're familiar. I know you from way back when. it was funny, but it was also very eye-opening for us. And these 10 days, oh my goodness, were so many life lessons we learned. And I can't wait to share. Some of it has to do with parenting. Some of it has to do with marriage. Some of it has to do with life. But it was really incredible. If you have an opportunity to stay away from your kids for a few days, do it. We've all done it, like one night here, 2 nights here, like that. But a good stretch of like a week. It was so refreshing for all of us. It's also funny because as I'm recording this, my kids have come back, and I'm recording it way before I'm going to be releasing it. And when I met my children back, and I was like, oh, I'm so glad you guys are here, and it's so lovely to have you back. So my son says, I didn't miss you. And I was going to say to him, I didn't miss you either, but I kept my mouth shut because I didn't want him to think another. I don't know. I didn't feel the need to say that back to him, but it was really funny. And he said, kind of like, oh, I miss my aunt, I miss my uncle, I miss my family. And it was really sweet. But I'm going to be sharing a lot of my learnings from this time period that you can apply to your own life. And as you listen to this episode, right, anytime I'm talking about personal stuff, I really invite you to apply it to your own life, because I'm not sharing this to entertain you. Honestly, my anything that I provide out in the world is for one purpose and one purpose only. It's to help create transformation. And when I give you personal stories, I'm giving it to you for 2 reasons. One is to show you that we're all on the same path. You can think one way about me, but we're all on the same path, growing and learning and evolving. And we learn from each other. I'm constantly learning from my mentors, my trusted friends. I'm learning from my clients. I'm learning from my children. I'm always learning and evolving, and I want to bring that to you. And the second reason is, sometimes when you hear personal stories, you can really apply that to your own life, because what may seem personal is actually general. What I am experiencing, you may have also experienced. Or when you share with me, I love these DMs on Instagram, by the way. Please continue to DM me. Share with me your takeaways. I love hearing from all of you. When you tell me like, oh, that resonated for me, thank you for sharing that, it really makes a huge difference for me, because I am learning from you. We're no different. I may be a few steps ahead in a few different areas, but like we're all the same, on the same path. So when I share certain things, it may ring true to you that you can apply to your own life. And by the way, if you're new to my podcast, welcome. I'm so grateful you're here listening. Please go and listen to all the episodes from the beginning. They don't really build on one another, but you will get a flavor of a certain type of theme and things like that you can start applying to your own life. All right. So, Motherhood Uncensored. What is that? I want to just start by sharing that I love my kids. They are incredible human beings. But motherhood was not natural to me. And it would often take people by surprise. I had children quite late in life, quite late. I mean, this is what society labels as late, right? I was in my late 30s, like close to almost 39 when I had my first child. And that's considered late for most people. Because motherhood was not natural to me. I didn't even know if I wanted to have kids in the first place. I'll talk about the ambivalence later. But the reason I'm even sharing that is because, when I would say to people, I don't know if I want to have kids, they would be like, you are the epitome of a mother. Like, because I have a lot of mother energy in me, if you know what I mean. I have a lot of nurturing energy in me. But I didn't know if I wanted to caretake or give birth or have little humans to take care of. I just didn't. And I was very ambivalent about being a mother. Not only was my husband and I both were. We've always been on the same page about a lot of the big major decisions in life. And this was one of those things neither of us were sure we wanted to have kids. In fact, I was pretty adamant that being a mother was not for me. Back in my 20s, like early 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, and my early 30s, we had so many like health crises between me and my husband. Like we were thinking about having children was not even part of our brains couldn't comprehend thinking about children. When you're dealing with survival stuff, you're not going to be thinking about procreation. And I was done. I was done caretaking. I just wanted to have freedom and enjoy life. And that's how I lived. It was like, I'm done. When I got better in my 30s, I was like, I'm just going to go live life. And, and every so often, my husband and I would talk about, do we want to have kids? And be like, nope. The conclusion was always no. And so we would kind of go on with our life. Well, I do have to say, for my kids, if either of you listen to this, at any point, I really want you to know I love you deeply and dearly, and this episode has nothing to do with you, nothing to do with wanting you in my life or not. This has everything to do with my journey on becoming a parent. And you guys are teaching me so much, and I'm so grateful for both of you for having chosen me to be your mom. Like really, I'm so grateful. Like you have brought such joy in my life, so much amazing life experiences. You're some of the best humans I've ever encountered. I'm so happy to share this life with you. Guys, I had to say that because in case my kids listen to this at any time, at any point, I don't ever want them to feel like I didn't want them. My ambivalence was not about them now that I know who they are. It was just about motherhood. I didn't know if it was for me or not. And I also have to share this because, as you can tell, right, it's very different, like ambivalence about I want to be a mom, I don't want to be a mom. And then also the joy of being a parent. And this is my first takeaway for you. You can have different conflicting feelings at the same time. Both are okay. We often feel like we have to have either one feeling or the other. That silly phrase, like you made your bed, now lay in it. Now, who the heck made up that rule? No. It's okay if you have feelings about it. Like, even though I eventually chose to be a mom, it wasn't easy. Motherhood didn't come easy. And right from ambivalence. And then even after I became a parent, it was not easy, guys. It was just not easy. I didn't want to give up my freedom and my independence. And back then, even after having my first child, I was quite a control freak. And control and parenting don't go hand in hand, do they? It's like the epitome of the opposite. There's no control when it comes to parenting. And control is anyways an illusion. But you cannot control. When you have a child, you just cannot. From the time how they choose to come into this world to where you're parenting them, there's no control. Like you just have to go with the flow. And before we talk about this, I have to tell you this really funny story of how my son came to the earth side. It also gives you a glimpse of how I operate in life, which is completely through intuition. Like I said, I was very ambivalent, right, about having children. So somewhere when I turned 35, I started sensing a presence around me. So for all you guys out there, if this is your first time listening to this episode, please go and listen to the other episodes because you will get a flavor of me. This woo side of me comes up. It's how I live my life, but I also have this other side. I just have to put that as a caveat. And when I sensed this being, and it was there constantly. And I kept feeling this nudge, like I wanted to be a mother. I wanted to have a child is how it came up. And I was like, oh, you know what? I'm 35. This is biological clock. I'm going to ignore it. And I ignored it. And I ignored it. Periodically, I'll talk about it with my husband and be like, I don't know what you're talking about. And that would be the end of our conversation. 2 years go by. 2 years. I can't say this presence. I would cause it. This was my son, right? He was like literally hovering around me, like saying, Mom, get your act together. I need to come earthside. Like, come on. Okay. So then one day I had a brilliant idea and I told my husband, you know what? This nudge is not going away. So why don't we just try? I am positive it's not going to happen because of my health history, and he's had other health issues too in the past. It's all in the past for both of us, which I'm so grateful for. I'm like, it's not going to happen. And he is a very logical, rational being, kind of like the opposite of me. And he's like, I don't know what came over him. And he's like, okay. And that was it. We tried once. And here this child was. It's really funny. It's really, really funny. It's funny because on many levels, it is how intuition works. It is how you have no control. Like, if this is to happen, this is going to happen. Like, guys, my husband and I have been together for like 22 years at this point. So this was such, on one hand, it might be like a freak thing. Like, how did this happen? But it was really funny. I had to share that really funny story. So there came my son, and oh boy, it was not easy. The first 2-3 years of his life, I struggled so much. I also quit my therapy job back then. I mean, my therapy practice that I had for so many years. I was like, okay, I'm just going to be a mom, stay-at-home mom. So I quit my therapy practice. I was a stay-at-home mom with him for almost 3 years. And I was like, what am I doing with my life? Nothing felt clear. He had a lot of, in retrospect, struggles created by me around eating. And so I would stress, and it was such a rough time. I didn't even enjoy parenting. And I was like, and this is a beautiful being. If any of you have met my son, you know what I'm talking about. Or if you follow me on Instagram, you know, he's just a delightful being. But I chose struggle. It was work I had to do to let go. Now my life is very different with parenting. And it was so much struggle. And even with my second, we had so much ambivalence because I was struggling so much with having one child. It did not make sense to have another one. Now here's another funny story. This is how we know that the universe has plans for you, whether you buy into it or not. I remember this very clearly. I was birthing my son in a birthing tub, and I felt her presence. I literally saw her. I felt her, and I yelled out. This everyone remembers. My birthing team was around me, you know, my midwives and my husband, and I was like, I don't want another child. I am done, is what I said. And they were all like, no, it's okay. It's okay. They thought I was just in birthing whatever happens during birth, right? Like that whole, you go into a trance-like state and like you're just yelling random stuff. And so that's what they thought was happening. But I saw her. I was like, I'm done. I don't want another one. Oh, and her story is even more funny, but it's for another day. I don't want to go into that right now. So, and she was also she just came along. So there she was, even my second one. I didn't have much of a choice. And to be frank, if my kids hadn't forced themselves on me, they would not be here. They were like, these people are not getting their act together. Come on, people. Like, come on, get your act together. You know, we need to come through. I'm joking, but this is really, like, they taught me the first life lesson, which is you're not in control. Control is an illusion. And now I know they're part of the plan, and I've totally embraced it. It took me a long time. Now I'm loving motherhood, even when I don't miss them. So they've been some of my biggest teachers. They've taught me so much of letting go of control, and mainly of letting go of control. And then also just living life based on on intuition, like do what feels right to you. And that is a good segue into talking about busting some myths about what a good parent is supposed to be or is like. So I hear this a lot from my clients who are parents. They struggle with this, especially moms. I see them struggle so much with what a good mom is supposed to be like. They have this imaginary thing, like I did too. Oh, trust me, before I had kids and when I was pregnant, I would be like, this is how I want it to be. No sugar, no TV, no this, no that. Guess what happens? It's all thrown out of the window. Because you cannot control parenting. You cannot control being a parent. You just can't. You can control life in general, but especially when you're a parent to a child, of course you're a parent to a child. When you are raising another human being, you have to have flexibility. But I see so many of my clients who are parents struggling with this because they have this imaginary list of how a parent should be, and how they don't match up to that. One of the things I hear, so these are the myths I want to bust. I have around 6 myths, I think. One of the first ones is that I need to be spending a lot of time with them. Oh, I hear this from so many. They feel guilty when they don't spend time with them, or when they miss a soccer game, or when they haven't shown up for dinner, or I don't know. They get so caught up in I need to spend so much time with them. And one of the first things I learned is it's not the quantity of time that you spend with them, it's the quality of time. It doesn't matter whether you're spending an hour, but if that 1 hour is spent, whether you're spending 1 hour or 5 hours, if you're spending 5 hours with them and 4.5 out of those 5 hours are spent scrolling on social media, it is no point, is it? You would rather spend 1 hour but fully present with them. So if you struggle with that, I really invite you to just drop it. Like I said, I tried the stay-at-home mom thing for 3 years. It didn't work for me. And kudos to stay-at-home moms. Goodness, you guys are amazing. I just could not do that. It was a struggle. I needed my own life. I just couldn't do it. I have so much respect for stay-at-home moms. I don't know how they do it, but it is amazing. It's really amazing. It's not for me. And this is what I invite you all to do. Look at what works for you. Stop comparing. Look at what works for you. And that whatever time you spend with them is good enough. Oh, the second myth I want to bust is about I have to put their needs first before me. I have to prioritize them before me. The classic, your jug is going to be empty, right? If you keep pouring out the water from your jug, is there going to be any water left in that jug at some point? Absolutely not. So if you keep meeting someone else's needs, even if they're own children, are you going to have anything left to give? You have to put yourself first. This is so hard for so many of my clients who are parents. And it was hard for me too, but I had to learn to prioritize myself. I would sometimes in the past have done it, and I've had to, it's a work in progress. Some days I'll wake up and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go exercise. I would have had it pre-planned. This morning is a great example. I got up early, hoping that I could get out the door and go for a run and come back. Just as I'm about to leave, it's 6:15 in the morning, guys. Forget sleep anymore. 6:15, I'm sitting out, I'm stretching outside, getting ready for my run. And I hear this tap, tap, tap on the window, from the house, tap, tap, and then I hear, Mama, Mama. I was oh my God, it's my daughter. She's I'm coming out. I want to come. She couldn't open the door herself, so I had to open the door. And she's I want to come with you. And I was I'm going to go for a run. You're welcome to ride your bicycle with me if you want, but I'm not talking to you. I need to run. I need to go for my exercise. So I had to prioritize myself. She did come. And it was really funny because as I was running and she was biking, she says to me, I know you said you didn't want to talk. If you don't want to talk, that's okay. I'm just going to talk to myself. I'm like, I partly go for a run so that I don't have to hear anyone talk, but that's okay. You want to do that with me, that's fine. I'll just talk to myself. Oh my goodness. You have to put your needs first. If you don't, the cost of it is you not being present with your kids. And I know the fact that you're listening to this episode tells me that you are a dedicated parent. So you get to decide. Spending that time for yourself and really feeling refreshed, or putting them first and then struggling. It's up to you. So the third one is, I hear this so much. And I've struggled with this too. Any of these things, guys, please know that I have struggled with it too. This one I hear so much. I'm such a bad mom because I yell at them, or I'm losing my patience. Oh, this is another one I hear on the same theme. I'm screwing them up. Oh, I know this one so well. Like, I'm screwing them up. I used to be in a constant state of fear that I'm going to mess up my kids. That they're going to spend years in therapy because I've messed them up so much. Constant fear. I would do something, and then I would be in fear that I'm going to mess them up. And then I would, I would get annoyed with them. And then I'd be like, oh my God, I messed up. Holy cow. That is such a spiral that is going to take you to just hell. The way I got out of it, and this is something I teach my clients too, is where are you placing your attention? Are you placing the attention on how much you're going to screw them up? And then guess what? You will screw them up. But what if you focused on you are going to make a mistake as a parent, but you have a power card, and that power card is repair. We are all going to screw up. We're all going to mess up. But the best you can do is repair. Because now when I do screw up, which I do, I mess up. I do messy things with my kids. I just go and talk to them. I talk to them like I talk to my husband, like I talk to my friends when I mess up, when I hurt their feelings, whether I intentionally did or unintentionally did, or just lost my temper or whatever happened. I talk to them. I tell them, I take ownership of like, oh yeah, I messed up. I effed up. I'm sorry. I messed up. Can we talk about this? Can we have a reset? What do you need? How can I work with you on this? How can I make it up to you? I talk to them, and that is repair work is the key. You can never be a bad mom. You just are a mom. These are labels that you've put on yourself. You're just a mom. And when you mess things up, which you will, trust me, you will. we all will. Do you not mess up with your partner? Do you not mess up with your friends? Do you not say like, oh, I'm going to show up and then you are really late or you forgot about it? How many times have you done that? I've done it. It's not intentional, but people's feelings get hurt. And my kids get hurt. Their feelings get hurt. And then I just talk to them. It happens. Like this morning, we were sitting and cuddling on the couch and my laptop was right there. And then my daughter just pushed it with her feet. The laptop fell on the ground. And I was like, oh my God, Anaya, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, sorry, mama. But she knew what she was doing. And then we just talked about it. And then I was like, it was just a split second. And then everything eased up. But what I'm saying is you are going to mess up and you can repair. Take ownership. Teach them how to take ownership. All right. The fourth one. I have to attend all their activities. If I don't, then I'm a bad mom again. If I don't attend their soccer game, if I don't attend their karate practice, whatever that is. I hear this from so many parents. They struggle with guilt that they didn't go to this event or that event. And this is where I invite you to look at boundaries, communication, and needs. Boundaries, communication, and needs. Boundaries means your children are going to want things from you. You get to decide what can you give and what you can't. And talk about it. Communication. This is where communication comes in. You get to talk about it. You get to talk through it with each other. And granted, my kids are right now a little bit older. I can actually talk to them, right? But when it's younger, then it's meeting their basic needs. It's different. And at every point, it's going to change as well. So talk to them. Talk to them about what they want. Like ask them what is more important for them. Do they want you to come to this game or that game? Like, what is important? And what are their needs? What needs do they have in terms of spending time with you? What do they want? So it can be a two-way conversation, a two-way thing rather than you taking it all on yourself that you have to do these things. You don't have to do anything. Everything is a choice. Whatever time you're spending with them is a choice that you've made. And if you're going to be stressed out or overwhelmed because you've committed to these things and you don't really want to do them, then it's time to look at it, isn't it? All right, number 5. This kind of is like repetition, but repetition is the mastery of how we learn, so I am going to repeat myself. Like I said, I'm so glad my husband doesn't listen to these episodes because he hates repetition. I keep repeating things. So this one kind of goes in conjunction with some of the others I have talked about. It's about meeting all their needs. And, for instance, my son will diligently ask if he can sleep in our bed. And my answer every time is no. That's a need he has, and this is a need I have. I cannot sleep next to him. My sleep gets disturbed so much, and then I'm a cranky person in the morning. It doesn't work for me. And I believe he doesn't sleep well either because of all the tossing, turning, and, I'm also tossing and turning, so then it wakes him up too, but he doesn't realize that. And this is after trial and error. We have figured it out, like this is not going to work. And he doesn't like it. He doesn't like the answer no. And I have talked to him. But sometimes I have to prioritize my needs over his because of the bigger picture. And you can apply this to your own life. When their needs conflict with yours, look at the bigger picture. What's more important to you first? You always come first. Your children come second. This is contrary to probably what you've heard everywhere, but you come first. Because if there is no you, there will be no kids. There will be no kids to take care of because you would have driven yourself to the ground. And I'm also saying this because I know the fact that you're listening to this, I know you're a good parent. You're a good mom or dad. You are. It is really about you prioritizing yourself. Right, number 6. I have to do it all. Asking for help means I'm not cut out to be a mom. Ouch. How do I know this? I hear this from clients. I've heard this from my friends who are moms. I used to feel that way. I had this sense like I had to do everything. Everything. Somehow I had to be the superhuman, super mom. Holy cow, I don't think that way at all anymore. I outsource so many things, especially things I don't want to do. I just outsource them. I just don't want to do it. And granted, I'm talking from a place of privilege, but you can look at your life and go, what are some of the things that only you can do? And what are some of the things that someone else can do? So for instance, sometimes I don't like taking them to activities, the structured activities. I don't like taking them. I don't want to be waiting around, And so I like, okay, can someone else take them for me? Because they're anyways in that activity, whatever that is, whether it's gymnastics or soccer or whatever, can someone else take them? And I've learned to ask for help. I've learned to say, okay, these are the only things I can do, especially as a parent. And these are things I don't want to do, so who else can do it? There's nothing wrong with that. So look at your life and go, what kind of help do I need? And how can I make it happen? I'm going to be talking about this in some point, about being resourceful, having an identity of being resourceful. Because when you feel like you can do anything, you can figure it out, you will figure it out. So, tying it all back together, think about any of these 6 myths that I busted and how this applies to your own life. And how can you do what feels right to you? And yeah, that's the end. At the end of the day, what feels good to you? Forget what society has said about being a mother. Forget what your friends are doing. Forget what you see on social media. Do what feels right to you. I started this episode by saying I didn't miss them. I was so, that time off was so good for me. I came back to me in that 10 days. I'd forgotten, even though I do have a lot of help and I have a lot of time for myself, it's always in the back of your mind, right? Even if they're away with the babysitter the whole day, I still am thinking about them. This was bliss. I literally could do whatever I wanted to do. And it was it really it was regenerating. I'm so glad. I'm so grateful. I have family who can help me out with that. I know many people don't have that privilege. But if you can, and I think I may somehow figure out a way to make this happen every year. Maybe with family, maybe with hired help. I'm just going to figure out how to do that. And when I met them after 10 days of being away, my son says he didn't miss me and that he wanted to go back to my sister's house. And a friend asked me if that hurt my feelings. I was like, hell no, it does not hurt my feeling at all. Another big life lesson that I have learned that I apply very diligently to my life is to not take things personally. And the bottom line is I'm very secure as their mom. I joke with them. When he said that, I'm like, yeah, you're stuck with me for a lifetime, dude. There's nothing you can do. You can't escape me. I make a joke out of it because that's the truth. I'm very secure being their mom. But I also know, I also know that I cannot be all for them. I cannot be it all. I'm glad they have other adults who fulfill their needs, who they look up to, who are role models for them, who they feel secure with. It's actually a huge relief for me to know that they have other people to go to, and I'm not the only one. It does take a village to raise a child, and it does take a mindset shift to raise children. It is a huge relief to be like, yeah, go stay with her if you want to. And knowing that I will always be their mom, right? I know that bond is just between me and him, and no one can take that. And it's such a delight that he has. And they do have amazing adults in their life that they can look up to other than me. Many of my friends don't have children or have opted not to have children. And they are a big part of their lives. And I love that. I love that so much. Because it's good for them to have other adults' perspectives, right? So anyways, before we complete, I do want to, we're coming to an end, but I do want to leave you with one more thing that parenting has taught me, which is to love myself unconditionally, and love myself and prioritize myself because I love myself. I grew up watching my mom and other moms. Even now, I watch other mom friends sacrificing their needs, themselves. Nothing wrong with that, but it has to start with loving yourself. Because when you love yourself, you're showing that, you're demonstrating that to your children, because self-love is the ultimate key to getting anything you want in life. And when you can demonstrate that, when you can show it to your kids, they're going to learn that. So, yeah. I know you're having a lot of aha moments as you're listening to this. And I invite you to share this episode with other moms in your lives or other parents, because it's universal. I'm just using motherhood because I'm a woman and I'm a mom, but you can apply this to any parent. Oh, I have to share this one more thing. A huge blind spot that I became aware of in these 10 days of being away from them. This is why, it was literally like my own meditation retreat. I had so much time to just think and be. I don't know about your kids if you have young kids, but my kids talk non-stop. They're big talkers, which is just who they are. But when they talk, I can't think. I just want quiet, please, quiet. Which is why meditation is non-negotiable for me, because I need that quiet time. But anyways, another huge blind spot that I became aware of is how controlling I become as a parent, especially around watching their dad, watching my husband parent them. What? Wow. As we were reconnecting, I was so aware of how I was controlling how he needed to parent them. I was literally breathing down his neck, when he would get annoyed with them or whatever, right? Whatever parenting he would do, I would be constantly correcting and breathing, literally breathing down his neck, telling him what to do and what not to do. And of course, I was creating so much rift between us. It was one area in our life where we were not completely bonding over. And I was oh my God, he's not the problem. It's me. Yes, he has to do some self-reflection, whatever, around parenting. But I was wanting him to parent like me. And who the heck gave me that authority to tell he has to parent like me? No. And who said my parenting is the right way, right? Holy cow. It was so eye-opening for me. It was eye-opening to recognize that, holy cow, I was controlling. And I did talk to him about it. We have a really great relationship, which I'm going to do an episode about relationships, because this is not how it was. We had to work on our relationship. Even though he's my soulmate, if there's anything called a soulmate, but we had to really work on our relationship. But holy cow, control. Wow. So, look at your blind spots. That's my other invitation to you, is to look at your blind spots. And the last thing I'm going to leave you with, oh my God, this episode has been long, but you can tell, right? There's a lot for me to say around this. The last piece I want to leave you with is be in your own lane. Stop comparing yourself to other moms. Please don't compare, because your child is unique and you are unique. You are the only one who can parent your child, because your child has chosen you to be their parent. And please do not compare, because that is a road to hell. Just trust that you're doing the best you can based on the information and knowledge you have right now. And when you need different information and knowledge, you will be given that, and you will pivot if you need to. But comparing doesn't lead you anywhere. So that, my friends, brings us to the end of this episode. I am so grateful you are here. And like I said, please share this with other friends and family, other parents that you know. Share it on social media, because more people need to hear about this. And thank you. And if you feel called to, I would so appreciate a review. If you have come this far in listening to this episode, I trust that you like listening to these episodes. So please leave a review for me, because it's not for me. I do not care about reviews. I'm grateful if you leave them, but it's about reaching more people. That's my mission in life, to transform as many lives as I possibly can. And if you're listening to this, chances are you also want that. So I invite you to share this with other friends and family and leave a review. And I will see you at the next episode. Thank you so much for listening. I have a request for you. If you found value, chances are that your friends and family will too. So if you can leave a positive review on iTunes, it will help reach so many more people. And if you have any topics or questions you would like me to feature, please send them to support@padmaali.com. And lastly, please share your takeaways and breakthroughs with me on Instagram @Padma Ali. Thank you so much for tuning in.